Well, Adam Schefter decided to weigh in on the potential that Nick Sirianni gets fired by Philadelphia if the Birds get waxed by Tampa on Monday night. Baker Mayfield, though, he's dealing with some pretty interesting injuries ahead of the wild card matchup. Mike Vrabel is suddenly the favorite to join the Eagles staff this offseason, and Jason Kelce told everybody they don't need to change anything on offense. Oh, really? I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. Okay, really quickly, for those of us wondering why Rahaad Penny hasn't been seeing the field at all until recently, watch Kenny Gainwell here in blitz protection, which has been pretty darn good all year, and then let's watch Rahaad Penny. Okay, yep, you guys got me. That explains it. I don't want to see Penny on the field at all in pass protection. One thing I do want to see, though, is what happens with Tampa Bay's starting quarterback Baker Mayfield and his health. Like, he's been dealing with some sort of rib injury and was definitely feeling the effects heading into the Panthers game, but then struggled to put up points against a really bad Panthers defense, only to be seen limping towards the sideline right here with apparently a new ankle injury. Now, Tampa is confident he won't miss any time, but as doubtful as we are that the Eagles can not look garbage versus the Bucs defense on Monday night, it is worth knowing that Tampa overall, they're not a good football team. And if Baker banged up, especially with the Bucs offense, couldn't score on the Panthers, maybe, I know, just bear with me, maybe the Eagles defense won't look totally pathetic on Monday night. And of course, that defense has been the main focus, at least the past couple of weeks in Philadelphia, especially since Matt Patricia took over. And I spoke about the Jeff McClain report yesterday about Sean Desai likely gone at the end of the season. Well, many are wondering if Mike Vrabel now, formerly the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, surprisingly fired yesterday, could be a great option to be the new DC in Philadelphia in 2024. Honestly, I'm all for it. Like, Vrabel is clearly a very good defensive-minded head coach. Tennessee's defense has never been the problem. It's their offense. The fact that he's been completely unable to go ahead and at least develop any sort of quarterback up there in Tennessee. However, I'd be very shocked if he were to settle for a DC job instead of a head coaching job. I mean, Vrabel has a winning track record, and with a number of coaching jobs opening up, at least the past couple of days, and for sure the next couple of days, I'll be really surprised if he doesn't end up a head coach for someone else's NFL team. Of course, you might be saying, Thomas, go get Vrabel if Sirianni is fired. But Adam Schefter told 97.5 The Fanatic today he still believes Sirianni will not be fired no matter what happens on Monday night.
I would say no. But I also know that in the National Football League, that wild things happen all the time. And, you know, nobody thought Mike Vrabel was going to be out. There were reports a month ago that he was safe for the next 10 years. And a month later, he's out.
Right.
So these things change. Do I think Nick Sirianni is going to be out if they lose Monday night? I don't. Do I recognize that anything is possible? Yes, I do.
All right, well, I mean, you can believe Adam Schefter or not. That's up to you. Now, I firmly believe that Sirianni will be safe as long as Philadelphia doesn't get blown out. Like, if they lose by 20 and continue to look as anemic as they have the past 6 weeks, then we need to have a real conversation. I think Jeffrey Lurie will. But if they lose by 3 or they lose by 7 or it's a close game, I know it's not what we all want, but if it's close, it sounds like Philadelphia's going to be keeping Nick on the sideline. Now, if you want to be really shocked this morning, how about Adam Schefter dropping the news that the Panthers are expected to interview Eagles offensive coordinator Brian Johnson for their head coaching job per source? Which I think all of us would gladly love the Panthers to do. Like, sure, go ahead and hire him, plus the fact that Philadelphia would get draft compensation via the Rooney Rule for letting one of their coordinators go and get hired with the Panthers. Now, I can't believe that anyone would actually want to hire Brian Johnson based on the Eagles' offense over the course of this entire season, but maybe teams know more than we do, and it's actually Nick Sirianni being the grand puppet master like we've hinted at as being the whole offensive problems versus it being Brian Johnson, and maybe a team understands that and thinks that Johnson by himself could be a good head coach. Either way, best of luck to the Panthers. I hope it works out for you, man. Now, of course, the biggest issue on offense has been blitz pickup. And geez, Tanner Orlovsky yesterday on NFL Live did an incredible job breaking down exactly how bad the offensive play calling has been against the blitz. I can't show you it because ESPN's copyright stuff is crazy, but just read Dan's tweet summing it all up. Worst team in the playoffs with this at Eagles. Super Bowl caliber talent on this offense not being utilized. What's even funnier is Jason Kelce going on 94.1 WIP this morning and basically explaining that, hey, we haven't been that bad versus the blitz. I think we've done a pretty decent job.
Outside of last week, I don't think it's been that big of an issue, to be honest with you. I mean, we've faced a lot of zero pressures. There's all sorts of different, types of these things, right? There's zero, there's simulated pressures, there's zone pressures, there's run pressures, where you're just trying to, take off run fits. I think for the most part, we've done a pretty good job against a lot of that stuff. And I don't think it's been that confusing assignment-wise. I think last week, that's what that guy majors in, and we did a good job. And I think sometimes you're not in the right call to get it picked up. Sometimes you don't execute it, or guys aren't on the same page, and it's difficult when you're really, really good at making it confusing.
Oh, boy. Ugh, man, John McMullen's tweet here, I think it sums it up best. I'll say this about the narrative that the Eagles coaching staff can't figure out how to put hot routes in the game plan. Look at the Indy tape in 2020 with Phillip Rivers. Just for people trying to figure that out, Nick Sirianni was the offensive coordinator for the Colts, again, during Phillip Rivers when they were completely unable to defend against the blitz. And, of course, we all have called for coaching changes. Just show us some hot routes. Show us something versus the blitz. Show us that you can call a competent game. Brian Johnson, or I guess you really should say Nick Sirianni. However, heading into the Tampa Bay game, Jason Kelce told WIP again this morning he doesn't think there needs to be any sort of dramatic changes with the offensive play calls.
I don't think we need to do a whole complete shift or revamp of the offense. I think we need to do some things better and put ourselves in better situations, coaches and players. But I think the reality is, the plays that we have in and have been doing all year, I think are ones that we can have success with and have had success with. I know it didn't, last week, we just didn't handle the blitz. Outside of that, we moved the ball pretty good. We had some good running game calls early. We only had a half of football to deal with, but I think that was really what took us out last game was not handling that. Mm-hmm. And I think that that doesn't have to do, I think, as much with the overall revamping or running plays and stuff like that. I think that that's more execution and being in the right spot. And Wink's good, he got us, but I think it's ultimately something that we'll move forward and be better at next time. But I think outside of a few games this year, the offense is operated pretty well.
I just can't figure out why everyone in the world, including you and me, know exactly what is wrong with the Eagles, except the Eagles themselves. Like, listen, they are the better team. They should win this game on paper. The Bucs are not a good football team, but Todd Bowles' ability to create exotic blitzes versus an offense that obviously can't stop the blitz has me really, really worried. And I'm going to need to see real proof, like real concrete proof, especially the first couple of drives versus the Bucs defense, that Philly knows what they're doing, or else I'm going to be completely out on the Eagles' chances of winning even one playoff game. Well, I guess if you want me to be a little bit positive, because I have read your comments, Big Dom will be back on the sidelines for the playoff game after being suspended due to this absolute nothing burger versus the 49ers. Like, seriously, why did he get suspended for this? But if you are somebody who thinks Big Dom is the really glue that keeps the team together, you might be right, because the Eagles are 1-6 without Big Dom on the sidelines, and they were 10-1 with him there. So, causation is not correlation, but at the same time, I'm just kidding. Unless he's actually calling the offense and the defense secretly, he's not going to make a big difference there. I was just trying to be positive because I felt like I've been negative for weeks and weeks and weeks now, and I want to believe that Philadelphia can win this game on Monday night. I really do. Like, I'm trying so hard to go, oh, Jalen just balls out of his mind. Like, they can do this. But when you keep watching film, when you keep watching professional athletes like Dan Orlovsky break down the Eagles film, it's really hard for me to go, yeah, I think they can beat a defensive-minded head coach and a defensive-positive team in the Bucs. Now, if you want to talk about this tonight, not just in my comment section, join us for our Wednesday Link Live. Myself, Josh Davis, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We have about 1,000 people hang out with us every single Wednesday night at this time, where we go over all of your questions. Like, it's the ultimate free-form conversation where you guys drive it. You ask your questions in the comment section. You get live feedback back and forth. We have a bunch of fun. If you've not joined us for one of those yet, I highly encourage you guys to do it. It's going to be an absolute blast. I'm Thomas Mott, hanging out here on a Wednesday. This has been The Thomas Mott Show.